I have not replaced anybody on my team with AI, but I expect them to perform better, to perform more efficient.
Hi, I'm Jayson Manship, host of Authentic and Agentic. Every week on this show, we break down what's happening in AI and what it means for how we work, lead, and live. Join me for a human-focused conversation that keeps you ahead of the curve. This is the Authentic and Agentic podcast on the IBJ Media Network. Welcome to the Authentic and Agentic podcast. I am your host, Jayson Manship. Today, we're going to talk to a married couple that made a deliberate decision to move from Silicon Valley to Fishers, Indiana. You've heard me say that AI is the great equalizer. So today, we're going to talk about how tech leaders, creatives, and small businesses can flourish using AI. Even right here in Indiana. I mean, our friends just down the road in Hawkins, they did just defeat the Upside Down. Spoiler alert for those that haven't seen the finale. I really couldn't help myself. Before we get to our conversation with Kevin and Liz Schmidt, I want to talk about a few AI news stories for the week. Let's start with something that really caught my attention this week. The head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, has been talking publicly about the importance of distinguishing between AI-generated content and human-created content. And honestly, I love that this conversation is happening, and especially at that level, because it validates something we all feel instinctively. Authenticity still matters. It's why we call the podcast what we do. People want to know, was this made by a person or was it made by a machine? I'm watching TikToks and Reels with my daughter, and she regularly says, that's so AI. So we're all paying attention to it. But here's where I want us to slow down just a bit. When big tech companies talk about the future of AI, we absolutely should listen. And these guys are at the forefront, but we should also practice discernment. One thing I've learned in watching this space is sometimes these announcements aren't just philosophical. Sometimes they're strategic. Sometimes they're signals to investors or regulators or even competitors saying, hey, we are thinking about this responsibly. We're ahead of you. We're winning. We're doing good. And that doesn't necessarily make the idea bad, but it does mean we shouldn't accept everything that these tech leaders say without asking better questions. Because here's the real tension, I think, underneath all of this. How would a platform like Instagram actually know what's human created? Think about the edge cases. What if I brainstorm with AI, but write every word myself? What if I dictate something with my voice and AI transcribes it? What if I use AI to outline, but the final product is completely mine? What if I upload my photo and use AI to enhance the lighting? At what point does content stop being quote unquote AI and start being human again? I don't think it's binary. I think it's a spectrum. And that's why I love the idea of marking human created work, but I'm still skeptical on how clean that line can actually be drawn. Because the future we're heading into isn't humans or AI. It's humans with AI. And a reminder from last week, bad people will do bad things. It's just the way it works. So blending between humans and machines is exactly where the second story I have takes us. This week, OpenAI quietly made a move that's actually, I think, a very big deal. They merged internal teams specifically to fix audio AI accuracy gaps, especially as they prepare for what looks like a future hardware push. I think they're going to launch hardware. The translation here is, I don't think voice is a side feature anymore. I think the leaders, the big dogs, see it as the future interface. And I don't think I can overstate this. I use OpenAI's voice features constantly. In the car, on walks, talking through ideas, thinking out loud. And every update, it feels like it gets more conversational, more interruptible, more natural, more human. This is where the first story and the second story collide. While platforms like Instagram are wrestling with how to label content, OpenAI is essentially saying, we're going to make the AI feel so natural that the distinction starts to blur. Not because it's pretending to be human, but because conversation is the most human interface we have. Text was the on-ramp. Voice is the highway. And once AI can understand tone, handle interruptions, maintain context, respond emotionally, appropriately, we stop using tools and we start collaborating with them. So here's my challenge for you this week. If you haven't tried OpenAI's voice feature yet, try it. Download the app, click the button. Don't use it necessarily to replace writing. You don't have to worry about faking it, thinking it's a human companion. But to experience what the blended future actually feels like, you should try it. Because once you talk to AI, the way you talk to a person, you do start thinking differently about what human created even means. So let's zoom out a little bit, because this isn't just about content or voice models. It's about how we interact with computing with machines themselves. Think about it. For years, we have been training ourselves to talk to machines. We talk to Amazon Alexa. We talk to Apple Siri. We talk to Google in our kitchens, cars, and living rooms. And slowly, almost invisibly, voice has invaded our homes, not as a novelty, but as a habit. Now, layer on what's coming next. Wearables, smart glasses, always available assistants. Devices like the Meta smart glasses are showing us something important. The phone may no longer be the center of our digital world. Instead of pulling out a slab of glass from our pocket, I mean, think about that for a second. That's what we have today. I think we're going to speak. I think we're going to listen. I think we're going to receive information contextually. I think computing becomes more ambient and present and conversational and invisible. And when that happens, the human AI line doesn't disappear. It becomes less important than the outcome. The real shift, I don't think, will be, was this made by a human or AI? It's, did this help me think better, decide better, and create better? Because when computing becomes conversational and AI becomes collaborative, the question isn't who made it, it's how it made us better. And that's the world we're stepping into faster than most people realize. I have the Meta glasses. I lean into this world all day long. I'm telling you, it's real. And as you head into the rest of your day, pay attention to how often you talk to technology and how natural it already feels. We'll take a quick sponsor break, and when we come back, I'm excited to introduce you to Kevin and Liz Schmidt. Indiana's digital economy is changing fast, and TechPoint is helping lead the way. TechPoint drives Indiana's digital economy through talent, innovation, and community. Their new report, AI-Driven Skills for Indiana's Economy, explores how AI is reshaping our workforce. It's built for employers, educators, and job seekers who want to understand which skills are most in demand in our state's rapidly evolving economy. Download it today at techpoint.org/AI skills. Welcome back to Authentic and Agentic. I am your host, Jayson Manship, and thanks again to TechPoint for bringing this show to life. One of the things I think about a lot, especially living and working right here in Indiana, is how capable people often undersell themselves. We've got incredibly talented builders, creatives, and business owners who do great work, stay, as I call it, Hoosier humble, and don't feel the need to jump on every trend just to prove they're relevant. And right now, I think AI is testing that humility. Today's conversation sits right at that intersection between staying grounded and knowing when it's time to lean in. I'm joined by Kevin and Liz Schmidt. They both spent time in Silicon Valley and made a very intentional move to Indiana, where they continue to do high-impact work. Kevin as a senior software architect, and Liz working with creators, communities, and small businesses through her role at Adobe. What I love about this conversation is that it's not about hype or hot takes. It's about how AI is actually showing up in real work, how careers evolve in moments like this, and where confidence, not capability, is often the biggest gap. We talk about longevity in technical careers, the power of community, and why so many small businesses hesitate to embrace AI. I think this conversation might shed some light on what gives people permission to finally say, okay, I'll try this. If you've ever felt capable but cautious, curious but hesitant, this one's for you. Let's get into it. Kevin, Liz Schmidt, thank you guys so much for being here. This is our expanded studio. We put the leaf into the desk today because I've never had two people sitting across the table from me before. So.
Oh, an honor then.
I know, right? It's kind of a fun thing. We added the TV last week. We did this week. And so we're learning how to podcast in real time. And you guys are a great part of it.
It looks very nice.
Well, thank you.
I'm impressed.
Thank you. Well, I've known both of you for a little while. I met Kevin first and then got to know Liz also. Kevin is a Magic player. Nerd alert. And so we got to know each other through Moonshot, my game store, and got to become friends through that. But we share some passion too, because you're a software guy, I'm a software guy, and we really kind of got to know each other through that. My first question for both of you is, y'all made a very intentional move, right? You were in this place that a lot of people in the tech community think is like the Mecca, right? Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. And you moved to Indiana. Yeah. So without over romanticizing that, Why? What did you, why
Well,
did
that's
you
the
make
big
that?
question everyone always asks.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Well, I'm originally from Indiana.
Okay.
I grew up on the south side of Indianapolis and pretty much was here until I left college and then kind of moved all over Michigan.
College for you was Purdue, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And before I met him, I didn't even know where Indiana was.
On a map.
Never even knew. I knew where Chicago was. And then he said Indiana, and I was like, I don't know where that is. So yeah, that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah. And when we first started dating, she was in Washington, D.C., and I was in Indiana. And so we would take turns going back and forth. And so she kind of came here, and I can remember one thing, we were driving around and they were building a new development, and they had prices from like the 200s, and she's like, "Is that for the lot?" I'm like, "No, that's for everything."
I was in shock.
That very different than DC or Silicon Valley.
Yeah, cost of living
was
and going out and what that looks like, a restaurant or a drink. I'm in DC and a drink is $20 back, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm here. I'm like, we're going out for $10. Like, no way. It was very different for me. It was a kind of a culture shock. But my background was that my parents were military, both of them. So we did a lot of traveling. I lived all over the place. So part of my upbringing, and it's funny that I'm in community as a career, going to do new communities and new cultures, I get fascinated by it. So Indiana was the same thing. I was like,
bunch of weirdos in the Midwest.
wow, all these people are so nice, and they're so excited about their community, and the pride here was amazing. I mean, people from Indiana, they really appreciate everything about it. So I think I caught the bug, and I was like, wow, we would go out and they'd be like, let's be Facebook friends. I had never experienced that in big cities. People are like, whoa, I don't know if we should be friends. Maybe a few more times, but people here were very welcoming as a person. Didn't care what I did for a living. It was just like, you're cool, Liz, Yeah.
And for me, the culture, we lived in San Jose, but we were back and forth between San Francisco and San Jose a lot. Just didn't fit what I was used to in the Midwest. And so I didn't find it very welcoming or friendly or, having people just trying to figure out how they could use you to their advantage versus actually trying to build friendships and, grow.
It was really hard to resonate. Yeah.
That's true in DC too.
Yeah.
Very transactional.
Well, I grew up mostly in DC, but I would say for DC, there were so many different ways you could go with different types of friends and communities. There's everything's so siloed there. And so I lived even in Baltimore, an hour away from downtown DC. And then I was on the, Virginia side. And then it was like, I grew up mostly in Maryland, completely different worlds. You can be in a different part of the DC metro, area. But, it's a great place. I kind of outgrew it. And then when we're in the Bay Area, kind of how he was saying about connecting, people say, it's like this melting pot of people. And I found everyone to be kind of similar. I mean, you've got these, big brains coming from, Ivy League colleges. Everyone there is very advantageous about friendships there. Like, hey, what can you do for me? Or, what app did you build? What VC do you know? What's your next thing? And they want to share in brilliance there rather than get to know who you are as a person. So with trying, I did try to make friends there. There was always something more exciting going on when you're in a big city. And this is something people, when we're thinking about, places outside of Indiana, when you're in big cities, there's a lot going on and there are a lot of choices. And here, I think you make specific choices based on your quality of life, right? There, it's like, oh, I don't want to miss out. That FOMO thing that happened. You remember FOMO, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's still a thing over there. It's like, oh, there's a comedy thing here. There's a comedy thing. Well, I invited you over to my house for dinner. Which one's going to win? The FOMO, right? I'm going to go to the comedy show. So that's kind of the difference in cultures that I believed when I came here. I think our first house party was how many people, babe?
100 plus.
We had a house party. And we were like, well, nobody's going to come because in the Bay Area, we invited people, nobody would ever come. Oh, yeah, sometimes none. I mean, we'd invite people, nobody would show up. And here we were like, there's
everyone
too many people.
came.
So that was a shock for us, very different. And we were stuck. We're like, that's it. We love it.
I have two friends from the almost 3.5 years that we were out there. One was a guy who was in finance that lived above us, and we shared a passion for wine. And the other was the gentleman who worked at the Marriott when I used to travel out there so much. And he was a big history buff, and I was a big history buff. So we connected on things outside of technology.
Yeah.
That, you know,
that was like the way to meet people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was far in between, you know.
And you've been in Indiana now how long?
12 years?
12?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
12.
lost count at
That's
this
good.
point.
So you're Hoosiers.
Yes.
Oh, for
You've
sure.
always been a
I've
Hoosier,
always
came
been.
back,
Well,
but you're adopted Hoosier.
Technically, I'm a New Yorker. I was
boy.
born in New York.
Oh
but,
boy, we won't hold that against you.
No. I grew up in Indiana, though.
Yeah. That's
Indiana's my home.
And I have Latin background, so it's funny to when I meet someone else who's like either Colombian or Mexican, it's like, wow, that's cool, you know. And it's funny because I meet more and more and more as the years have gone on.
Sure.
And then, thank you, Indiana. I've brought my sister here too. So a few years ago, she was like, hey, I kind of like it there too. I'm coming. So now I have family here.
I have a handful of friends that like chose Indiana because standard of living and it's a great place to raise a family and there's all kinds of values. And it's like, really is pretty awesome. We chose to live here. I've had options to live on the East and West Coast. And it's home.
But when you leave Indiana, people are like, why? Why would you live there? And I'm like, it's okay. You don't need to understand
That's right. We don't actually
We're going
want
to
you
keep
here.
ourselves a little bit in this bubble. Okay.
Yeah. Just keep calling it flyover country and we'll be fine with that.
So I'm going to ask questions about your guys' careers. Liz, you work at Adobe. Kevin, you have done a work for Adobe, but you work as a entrepreneur.
No.
Now you don't. Now you work for the university.
Yeah, I work for the University of Texas at Austin now.
Okay.
That's as of last June.
Okay, perfect. So senior guy, software guy, AEM, software architect. Talk to me about that. I don't fully understand what an AEM.
So in the auspices of what we're doing now, in 5 years from now, the medical school at UT, Delmed, is opening a new hospital. And so they are in the process of designing all the software systems and everything that goes with opening and operating a full modern state-of-the-art hospital. And so I am working on anything that's sort of what they call their digital front door, right? Anything that has to do with how the patients interact online, medical records, learning, all that stuff. And so my responsibility is to design the systems with Adobe Experience Manager and the broader Adobe Marketing Cloud, make sure they're all going to interact well with AEM, because there's a lot of third-party systems involved in healthcare, which
makes sense.
Are very convoluted and messy.
Can only imagine.
And then I also sort of helping the new AEM developers at UT learn AEM, as well as managing a third-party software integrator that's doing a lot of the code, because UT just doesn't have the AEM resources. I think they said it took them over a year to fill my role.
Wow.
It's wild.
You're high in demand.
That's right.
Yeah. So making sure that, the code quality is there, best practices are being followed, systems are designed so they're going to function down the road, low maintenance. Not a lot of tech.
I want to double click on that. But first, for those that don't know, AEM, Adobe Experience Manager, is an enterprise level content management platform.
Correct.
Like a WordPress on steroids, like something much bigger, much more complicated, connects a much more enterprise level security and integrations.
Right. Digital content and enterprise digital content and enterprise digital asset management.
Okay. So as someone managing these systems with all the stuff you just described, this is a podcast about AI. I assume AI is directly impacting your life.
Yeah, so it's a couple of different ways. So Adobe themselves have introduced agents specific to AEM that you can utilize right within the product for content optimization, LLM, search optimization, and a whole bunch of other different tools that they've built agents for right into the product. So
that's cool.
Learning to figure out how to best utilize those. And then one of the things I do is code reviews for third party. And so I've integrated Claude into GitHub to basically help
automate some of that.
Yeah. So every time they submit a pull request, Claude goes through and reviews it for best practices. And so something that I would have had to have done manually, now about 80 to 90% of that work is done by Claude once that's done, then I can go back and check and make sure that everything else they conform to that maybe not, Java specific, but are more for UT standards are met as well.
That's great.
So it saves me a ton of time.
That's great. Well, I want to ask about that. So you are a senior guy. You've been in the technical space for a while as a developer and an architect and all the components that go into that. So as you see AI step into the space and starting to do the code reviews like you just described or some of the agentic stuff that's bolted on, I assume your kind of career trajectory and what you've seen yourself do is changing too. As you think about where you want to be in 10 years, right?
I want to be retired in 10 years.
Perfect. Well, don't we all, right? That sounds wonderful. But think about that for a second. Like when you started coding, right, versus where we are today, versus where we're going to be in 10 years as a coder or a leader of coders. I mean, think about help me understand that a little bit.
Well, I think from everything that I've seen and everything I've read and dealt with, it's not going to be, AI is going to write a lot of code, but it's going to depend on how good are you at prompting the AI? How good is the specification that you're giving it or what you want it to do? It's the old garbage in, garbage out.
Sure.
If you have a horrible prompt, you're going to get horrible code. But if you have a very specific, set of requirements that are very detailed, and then it'll be fine. And we've got some that we've written for AEM, very specific context, very specific prompts, and then we just modify those prompts for what we need it to do. So I think a lot of that initial coding will be done that way. I still think, obviously, for some of the more complex stuff, more complex business logic, I think there's going to be coders involved. I mean, you're not going to trust...
You can't replace humans.
Well, you're not going to trust AI to write code that is mission critical to your business, that if there's a bug or it goes down, you're toast. I mean, so there's always going to be somebody involved writing that. But, and I think this is something we've discussed before too, is if nobody's writing this like code as a junior developer, how are you going to end up with senior people?
That's a big fear I hear, right?
With architect level people that are able to review what AI is doing and understand it because they don't have the basis to begin with.
That's exactly. I mean, we talk about that a lot. And it's interesting because I think of really 3 different professions that I feel like are really instantly impacted today with this AI revolution, evolution, whatever it is. One is law. We're not going to get into that today, but a lot of lawyers I talk to either love it or hate it. They're scared of it or they're thrilled, right? The second is software. Most software folks I talk to either love it and feel like, wow, AI lets me do 5 times more than I used to be able to do. But others, especially a lot of senior level folks, are annoyed by it because it's causing all kinds of junk code and tech debt and all kinds of other issues they have to manage. And then the third one is the creative group.
Really?
And so, Liz, I'd like to pivot to you for a second. Before I do, I know you have a background at Adobe. I know you work there now. I'm not going to ask you to pontificate on their AI strategies or any upcoming products or anything, but you do have some very interesting insights working with creators and the community side of that. And a lot of creators, I think, are embracing it and saying, wow, this is really cool. It lets me be better. And some of them are fearful because it feels like this does what I do.
There are so many different levels of why creators and designers and illustrators, video editors, photographers, they all have different reasons, right, that they're fearful of AI. And just to kind of explain my background a little bit more is that I'm in marketing. I didn't start out in marketing. I was actually an art studio graphic designer.
Love it.
This is a long time ago. And so creativity and design was at the forefront of everything I did. Getting into community and then marketing, I started to realize, what is it that the company wants to do or message to creators, right? So I am that bridge of communicating and sharing that message. And then with the community, my team, I have a team globally. And what we do is we create engagements for the community to understand and share feedback back to the company, and then also connect. So by connecting our community with ourselves, with each other, and have those conversations, we can learn so much.
Sure.
And we can create an environment where creators are like, I'm scared of this. You're scared of this. Let's have these conversations. We put in front of them showcases of people who are in, let's talk about AI now, who are doing AI and how they're using it. And they share stories on stage. They'll say, okay, here's a project I did before. with AI, here's how I changed it. Here's my new workflow. The biggest thing that I hear, and let's like kind of explain a little bit about, Adobe connecting with the community. Right now, AI is scary and there's a lot of unknowns on how to use it. So Adobe is really focusing, and especially through my team, on their quality of life.
Okay.
Quality of life, helping them be successful. So getting
the creators.
Yes, creators. So resources, things like that. The connection of the community, the benefits. So once they feel like, and they should hopefully feel like Adobe's like, we got your back.
Sure.
Let's go ahead in a safe way, have these conversations. So that's what my team does, is we help with these fireside chats, community retreats, events. And there are two types, actually I would say almost four types. One is the creator that says, we have to show our responsibility. If I'm going to post something online, let's say Instagram, I created this thing, you should, and a lot of people say this here, you should say this was created with AI. There is a loud voice right now saying to people, you should explain that you've used AI in this. Now, whether or not that's going to last, maybe it's just, hey, let's just do this for a little while. And then there are designers and creators out there that are asking like, well, here's without AI, here's with AI. And they're doing these tests right now. Do you prefer this? Does this ad perform better with AI driven stuff? Now there's the other level of designers and creators that are seeing overwhelming benefits because they're diving in and they're really looking deep into this. So let's say, for instance, you make an ad for your company and your team goes, you know what? These are summer colors. I want to change this to Christmas colors. And the designer's like, look, we got a lot going on right now. And let's use AI for this one instance, and it's able to do a recolorization like that with multiple choices. What I love is when the community sees this as, or designers see it as like, this is an opportunity to create, to create more ideas, like really quickly, to prompt, I'm trying to think of the word. It's a way for them to have concepts, right? To be able to communicate that to someone. Oh, I've got an idea, or really quick. Storyboarding, yes, all that. Would make this better if there was a hat on the dog or whatever. Oh, well, let's see what this, but a designer can go back and actually improve it. The other thing is, imagine this one, and it's all about time saving right now, in my opinion. So imagine you're out there and you're like, I really want to change the font on this. It's really bugging me. Not saying it is, but the font is really bugging me. But I was out at a restaurant and I saw a sign and I thought this font was amazing. So I just snapped a photo of that font. I said, hey, designer, go do this. Do you know how long it takes to look for a font?
What the font? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It is. You have to look through. When the designer really just wants time to be able to mess with their designs and be creative and think about the next thing, you can do it instantaneously. In Photoshop, in Illustrator, in some of our products that they have, it's like, oh, you can identify the font right in app and then use it. Like, that's incredible. Yeah. For years, that wasn't, easy to do. So it's just things like that really get people excited that, oh my gosh, Adobe's caring about my quality of life right now, because I'm not going to be spending hours in the middle of the night and, waste the 20 hours I've been given to do a design and waste most of them for this, and then probably have to do some hours for free because I didn't get a chance to finish it. So I love these stories of quality of life. And you asked about examples.
Yeah.
So everyone hopefully knows a little bit about Art Basel in Miami.
Oh, yeah, it was fancy.
Oh, it's amazing. So a lot of creatives go there, and we have some, we call them Firefly ambassadors, and a couple of them are from Miami, and they were commissioned to do these projects. And they were able to use Firefly AI to kind of bring some of their designs to life, and then they did some really incredible things. But what I love is seeing that they're embracing it, and then have this vision, and they were able to do it really fast. They were like, hey, can you get this done? And the result was just incredible. It was actually a digital sign that was on a billboard on water, and it lit up on LEDs at night, and it was absolutely amazing. And she's like, oh yeah, that was AI. That was my concept.
Sure.
And I was drawing it and my colors and everything, but I brought it to life in motion and doing these things. And it's just, it really helps you get beyond the boundaries of your creativity.
Well, I love that example too, because last week on the podcast with John Wexler, we were talking about how AI kind of gets a bad rap, and that machine learning's been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Like automation has
They're
been
just
around
calling
for a
it
long
AI
time.
now.
Everything's called AI, right?
AI now.
And when I think about photography or creative design work,
Yeah.
I mean, like recoloring digitally has been around for a while.
Yeah.
This isn't brand new, right? Now, putting a hat on a dog maybe is a new thing, right? A newish thing with some of these AI tools. But I mean, I don't think it's ever going to be black and white. It's not human created from zero versus robot created. It's on a spectrum. It's not just that obvious, right?
Well, and it can be done badly too.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, kind of the way he was saying with, tech and software development, if you're not knowledgeable and you don't actually, like in design, if you're not actually good at designing, and
AI is not going to instantly
it's not going to make you better.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I like seeing the responsibility amongst the community, be like, hey, this is not good design. They're checking each other. And I like that. But I think what also that is doing, it's making people fearful to use it too. So I think there is going to be this benefit of bringing the community together to showcase and share and understand. And I think that's where my company is headed. We have to listen. We have to connect them. It's not going to be, like you said, black and white. And I think there's more coming, I mean, we just integrated Nano Banana and I used it the other day.
Yeah.
You probably saw our photo. I cannot get my dogs to sit still.
Sure.
But I got individual pictures of them, and we wanted a little Christmas portrait.
I didn't know that was AI. I thought you guys just magically got all four of your dogs to point in the same direction.
I have a good analogy too. When it comes to like design, I always ask her to do logos for me, right?
Sure.
And she's always like, no.
No time.
So I'm like, all right, let me see.
She's busy.
Let me see if ChatGPT can make a logo for me.
Sure.
And it failed miserably because I'm not a designer.
I was already ill before it started.
It's asking me all these questions, and I'm like, what does that mean? And then it turns out, and it gives me this logo that looks like a 3-year-old designed it. So designers aren't going to go away. It's using those tools to make your job easier. And it's the same. I think it's the same thing for software. For me, I can open up Copilot and, hey, write this regular expression for me because I hate trying to remember how to write regular expressions.
Yeah, it's the part you don't like to do.
Right. Yeah. It just looks like somebody jumped on the keyboard and it's a regular expression. But
so yeah, I mean, as far as technology and the things we observe, that's kind of very similar. I think what I'm excited for is next year having the same conversation. Oh, I would love to have a follow-up on that.
It's going to be wild to see where this goes.
I've got a 1-year plan with my team for our global event strategy. And I'm looking forward to seeing the results because it's literally changing 100 miles an hour.
Talk to me a little bit about that. So your global event strategy, you mentioned some of that stuff's in real life, IRL. Some of it's digital and webinars.
Adobe.com.
There you go. Adobe.com/events. You'll get to Liz.
Events. Yeah. My team. Yeah. So I will be traveling less. My team is incredible. They love.
These are global all over the place. So you're dealing with the global infrastructure of this in terms of socioeconomic and creative and talent and all the things that come with that. But so let me lean in there a little bit. One of the reasons we started Moonshot, my little game store here, is because I love the idea of bringing communities together. I think that we as humans need that, right? And I'm hopeful as AI makes our day life a little faster, a little easier, and takes some of the stuff we don't like to do off of our plate, that we can spend more time together with people.
Exactly.
Right? And so how do you see AI or maybe what you're doing now as a force multiplier? Like how do we build better communities?
Yeah. Well, it's all about scaling what you're already doing, right? So if my team is, looking for venues for an event, for instance, well, why can't we use AI to kind of, help us scale and say, okay, across all these cities, give me the spaces that have this and this and our needs and the cost of approximately this and this. It's not going to be right. It's not going to be 100%. Just remember, AI is not a replacement, but it gets you parts the way there. Yeah. It's like an encyclopedia of things, right? And I always tell my team, use AI as much as you can to learn and to understand. We're talking about community here. one of the biggest things that at least creators and maybe software developers too is communication. We're stuck in this behind this computer. We see social media. Communication is such a difficult thing to master. Even I, as a community manager of sorts, I'm not even perfect. So I think what my team does is we're constantly talking to the community and trying to explain, okay, we're coming to your city. We really want you to speak on stage. Sometimes we're not going to get it right because the language that we use or different cultures, even with the United States, there's different cultures and different ways people speak.
Yeah, DC versus Indiana versus Silicon Valley.
Exactly. So we use AI actually to help us recommunicate what we're saying. It's like, okay, here are the bullets of the points that I'm trying to say. Help me explain this to someone who is 22 years old from Washington, D.C. Maybe it'll get us part of the way there, but it helps you kind of start the conversation. So I don't know if I think this was going to be brought up, but I have a disability.
Okay.
So I am dyslexic, highly dyslexic when I have either I'm ill or weak or tired or stressed. And so it gets even worse. And one of the great things about AI is that I'm able to take long emails and say, please give me the cliff notes. Now, obviously, I should be reading all company emails.
Sure.
But I can at least get myself there and then also take my bullets and re-communicate them. If I write something out, say, hey, did I do a good job, AI? It really does help. But I also use humans as well. I run it past humans. That's just because as someone with a disability, I'm just used to doing to build my confidence. And so, I just have running prompts that help me kind of with my dyslexia. And if I don't understand someone else's writing, tell me what this person actually means.
Yeah.
It sometimes helps.
I use it in marriage sometimes.
Yeah.
I
how to
tell me what this person means, my wife.
When
right?
I'm
I don't know
for
what
men.
she's saying.
Yeah. She tells me I'm a poor communicator all the time. So
No, he just doesn't communicate.
That's right. It's a man thing. It's just how we are wired.
if I don't communicate, then I can't be wrong.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I say to him sometimes
I'm not sure that's how that works.
I say sometimes with him it's best to talk over text because then he gets a chance to think. And so and women we have 20 million ideas in our head at the same time and we're already thinking about tomorrow. So it definitely helps that way. But besides my own personal use, I'm always encouraging my team.
Yeah.
Community being so important, the whole scalability thing. What I think it comes down to is how can we get results quicker, but letting us have the open opportunity in our brains that it's the real estate to be free and take risks because we have analyzed those risks ahead of time and now we can make true assumptions and ideas and test them out. And you can use AI to also predict some of those outcomes too. So on my team, even though I'm at a corporation, I really encourage taking risks. I hate doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, as your entrepreneurial mind, I'm like, Jayson, he's on our level here. But that's how my team's able to do so.
Well, let me ask a little bit about that. So we're going to come back to the humble Hoosier thing that we talked about at the very beginning. So here in Indiana, when I started talking to folks about AI, I'm doing free workshops. I'm talking to all kinds of small business owners. I'm talking to enterprise CEOs. And there's this hesitancy, right? It's like we're almost scared. I've used the analogy that I've had people tell me it feels like I'm cheating on a test. And I don't think I should do this because it's too powerful.
The whole thing about that, and to be honest, I had a conversation with my hairdresser today.
Okay.
I think these are kind of similar. People need to realize that it's not a human.
Yeah.
Well, staying human with it. Okay. Yeah. So realizing it's not a human.
That's right.
One of the things that my hairdresser said, she goes, I got really upset the other day and my husband, he was talking to ChatGPT and it was talking back and it was using kind of a flirty voice. She goes, I didn't like that. And I said, okay, this is where the problem is lying with AI is that people are using it to replace human interaction.
Yep.
When you have your business and you're going, okay, am I replacing a human by using AI? No, this is where a human in your company is utilizing it to basically make themselves one level better.
Yeah.
Right.
2 or 3 levels better sometimes.
Right.
I have not replaced anybody on my team with AI, but I expect them to perform better, to perform more efficient. And that's kind of productivity is so important.
Well, so folks ask me, the number one question I get is AI going to take my job?
Yeah.
And my answer is no, but someone using it probably will.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're getting 2 to 3x the productivity, and it's scalable, right? Again, it's on a spectrum. It's not on or off, but like, don't put your head in the sand and don't be afraid to do it. And so, Kevin, let me ask you this question: 22-year-old kid right out of college, software developer. I mean, Sam Altman says this is the greatest time in history to be a 22-year-old kid coming out of college. All the facts and stats I see are that it's really hard to find a job, because if you're entry level and you have no experience, it's tricky to find a job because you don't have that experience to back it up.
Right.
Where's your head on that? You've seen that.
So I did a lot of things early in my career to sort of differentiate myself from everyone. So I think what they're going to have to do is find a way to differentiate themselves from every episode that's coming out. So like in my case, going back a ways, I wrote articles in print magazines and I wrote books.
Thought leadership.
And I spoke at conferences. So they're going to have to find a way to set themselves apart. Maybe, personal projects. And like you said, make sure that they're embracing AI, because if you're not using AI in coding projects now, you're not going to get anywhere.
You can build a website in 30 minutes. You can launch things quickly. Why are you handing me a resume that doesn't have that on it, right? Go build your portfolio. Go
exactly.
You'd say that for creatives, right? I mean, if you're a creative person, like, you better have a portfolio. Show me the work you've done.
Yeah, but I think there's more to it than just having a really great portfolio. Personality. I mean, you want to have someone that you get along with, you work well, that there are skills that people need to start looking into. That was how we were getting to community, right? It's like, don't just do good work. Don't just do good code. You're just going to be replaced by AI, right? You're just going to do something the same as everyone else. But what differentiates you is you be able to have that connection and say and bounce ideas with someone and communicate and have fun too.
Sure. Show your personality. Yeah, show
exactly.
Then you're getting into another problem, which I think is coming, in that so many younger children today just have devices and have no interpersonal skills whatsoever. And so they're going to find it even harder because they don't know how to relate to people.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in some ways.
I would hire someone all day long if they had half the skills of another person, but they got really along with my team. They were really interesting. They had big ideas. I always say that in my company, you have to be neurodivergent because I really need people who just think outside of the box, and have that thrill and excitement. It's probably not for all companies, but it's interesting to see how the hiring process is these days. And people are going to stop being scared to hire and fire very quickly.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
That's going to happen a lot quicker. The competition is going to be heavier. How are you utilizing AI to make you better? What are your ideas? Like you said, thought leadership is so huge. My biggest, and this is to everyone, if you are trying to get a job out there, no matter what industry it is, get on LinkedIn, read an article, post your opinion on LinkedIn immediately. Do one paragraph, 2 paragraphs. People want to hear your opinion. And if you are like-minded, they will hire you, no matter if you have 1 year or 10 years of experience.
Well, and I was talking to Sally at TechPoint, who's the VP of talent there, who helps drive a lot of the kind of students coming out of college and finding their careers, right? And she said one of the things that's fascinating is 10, 15 years ago in software, they were hiring based on your specific coding knowledge, right? You know JavaScript, or whatever framework this is. It feels way less relevant now, and it's more about understanding how to navigate because the languages move so quickly. And AI
people are contracting out work too.
That's a great point.
I mean, you have to understand logic, essentially. That's because all programming languages are doing the same thing, just different syntax. But I think back to what you said about Sam Altman saying being 22 and coming out of college right now is a great time. I think if you're an entrepreneur, and you want to start a business, AI is going to be able
superpower.
It's a superpower for you that you don't have to worry about doing all this stuff, or it's going to give you all those abilities that you may not have, you would have had to hire somebody for or learn yourself. And now you can just have that as a tool in your tool belt while you build your company, whether it's software or, buying cards
in a basic
online
way.
or whatever.
sure.
It's gonna expedite your ability to get to market.
Yeah, and as an entrepreneur, you have to be a jack of all trades, and you have to be kind of good at a little of everything. And so
Well,
I
if you
find
don't
it
have the
super helpful.
funds,
Well,
if you
for
don't
sure.
have the funds when you're starting out, one of the things Kevin's always telling me is, I have a really great idea. He's like, "Where's your business plan?" I can't ever get myself started, but I started looking with AI and I'm like, okay, get me started.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get an outline. Let me do this. Let me do that. And I'm like, for some of these ideas, I'm actually 3/4 of the way, which is really amazing for me. I just need my upcoming sabbatical to get myself that way, all the way there. But,
Actually, she's going to be doing like 47 logos for me on her sabbatical.
yes, no,
Sounds like
I have
it.
no idea. No, I'm writing
I
the
love
book
it.
on all this.
Funny. That's very funny. Well, let me close with this. So, you both, where's home base for, where's your company based? It's in Silicon Valley.
Francisco.
Okay. And you're in Texas, Austin, Texas.
Yeah, Austin, Texas.
But you live here in Fishers, right? And so that's so wild to me. I mean, think back 20, 30, 40 years, that wasn't a thing, right? The internet, the ability to do Zoom calls. I mean, COVID expedited that process a lot too, in terms of being in the office and everything else. As you think about coming out of college or maybe choosing where home is for you, right? I mean, the standard of living here is just wild for us compared to anywhere else that we've been. And, I've worked a lot on the coasts as well. And I love to travel and I love to visit. I mean, I know we don't have mountains and we don't have beaches.
Choose a city that has a really good airport.
Yeah. And Indianapolis does, man. It's
It is
unbelievable.
the best. It honestly is the best. We travel all over the world and it's like, we're home in an airport that just like, it's so different. It really is. It's an amazing airport. I get from the door to the door to, from my house. It's amazing. I still wish it had clear, but and a direct flight from Indianapolis to San Francisco through Delta would be really great. If I could put that
if anybody from the Indianapolis Airport Authority is listening,
that would make my life
But
better.
also,
San Fran.
it wasn't just, for me, it wasn't just, Indiana's got a great cost of living, but it's also where my family was, support system. So that was a big influence for me.
Well, any young folks that are listening to this podcast are probably connected to Indiana in some way, right? And I'm not trying to force people to live here, right? Go where it makes
But we made
works.
friends. I mean, we don't actually live really close to his family. Like it's an hour drive, like 45 minutes. Yeah. But we made a ton of friends here because it was so easy to do
Well,
that.
you're friendly people, and you invited 100 people to your housewarming party, and 100 people showed up. So
Yeah, it's you got to be open to that for sure. But there's certain personalities can do that, right? I know it's not as easy.
it's all her. It has nothing to do with me.
that's right. I know
Yeah,
that's
well,
true.
I mean, if you have the opportunity before you decide where you're going to settle, travel as much as possible, experience as many cultures as you can. And look, I've been all over the world, but I decided to move to Indiana. That does not make any sense by the book, right?
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, I'm like, I can always get on a plane and go to, to a beach or anything like that. But
And if you stay in the U.S., it's pretty centrally
but
located.
it's quality of life, it's what for you, what is quality of life?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a garden, maybe it's a yard with 4 dogs, maybe it's a really nice kitchen.
If we really loved California that much, moving here, we could visit once a month and still have money left over based on our cost of living savings.
That's wild.
I mean, it's insane how expensive it is out there.
Yeah. Couldn't even have a garage though.
That's a real thing.
You couldn't own a garage. You could rent one.
That's right. There's one down the road you can borrow.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get back together in 1 year and see how your community
and
strategy.
interactions. So the engagement with community for AI for sure.
Well, I'm encouraged because I think that people are starting to really embrace AI almost down to the creator level, right?
It's exciting.
And you're just seeing more and more of it. It is a gray area. I think there's a ton of conversation. The whole point of this podcast is to have folks like you on to talk about all the gray area. Because black and white is not our thing, right? But it is moving, and putting your head in the sand is not a solution.
Yeah.
And so thank you guys for taking time for me today. This is fun.
Yeah.
And
I'll be back. I'm actually going to train an LLM, and you'll just be interacting with the Kevin agent.
Perfect.
To answer the question.
That sounds great.
Right?
That sounds great.
And I'm going to use AI to develop some snacks because this table's empty. We need like little
that's
snacks
on
and
me.
stuff like that.
that's on me.
Really can't eat while we're talking.
Otherwise, Kevin starts burping, and then it's a problem
It's
for
a problem.
everybody.
I've been holding one in for a while. So.
Well, thank you for not letting it happen on the show. All right. Thank you guys so much. And we'll follow up. I guess the final thing here, if anybody wants to get a hold of you guys, follow you on LinkedIn. Like that's the best path.
The Schmidts.
The Schmidts.
Well, Liz Schmidt and Kevin Schmidt.
Okay. All right.
We're out there.
We'll have folks follow you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Jayson.
All right. Bye.
All right. What a great conversation. Huge thank you again to Kevin and Liz for joining me today and for sharing such thoughtful, grounded perspectives on their career, community, and what it really looks like to engage with AI without losing yourself in the hype. And thanks to you listening. Thank you for spending part of your week with me. If this episode resonated with you, I'd really encourage you to share it with a small business owner, a creative, or a teammate you know who's capable but maybe curious, maybe still a little hesitant about AI. Sometimes all it takes is hearing the right conversation to give someone permission to jump in. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to Authentic and Agentic wherever you get your podcast. It helps more people find these conversations, and it means a lot to me personally. If you do want to go deeper, head over to my YouTube channel. You can find it at jaysonmanship.com or go to YouTube and search Jayson Manship. That's Jayson Manship. I post new content there every week focused on practical, hands-on uses of AI. This week, I'm using ChatGPT's agentic mode to plan food and transportation for a group of 18 people. These are real constraints, real decisions, real workflows in virtually real time. And as always, my goal is to keep this grounded, useful, and human. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week.